Hey everybody, I want to talk about combating gaslighting. Gaslighting in particular is notorious because the manipulator makes you believe that you're crazy, or that you are mistaken, or that you misunderstood. It drives you nuts, and oftentimes it is a little difficult to identify it when it's happening. So I want to sort of help provide you with a guide to both identify like when somebody is gaslighting you, when you're actively being manipulated, how to tell, and how to combat it. First and foremost, if you want to identify gaslighting and if you want to combat gaslighting, you've got to be a lot more stubborn. And I say this because one of the principal mechanisms that gaslighting operates on is your lack of stubbornness. So you are easily swayed. You are easily convinced. You are easily confused. And as a result, people can change the versions of events and re-explain the versions of events to you, and you naturally assume that you misunderstood, or that you place self-doubt. You doubt yourself and you doubt your abilities. A big part of it with me was the fact that I'm ADHD and I've got a terrible memory, and that was capitalized upon frequently all through my life. And so, within the last 5 to 10 years, I've had to really develop a system of recording, writing down, jotting down, keeping notes of what happens and when and why. Thankfully, phones provide numerous resources for this, but I'm able to go back and more accurately recall what happened, when, and why. So that's been a tremendous help. So, but again, it starts with, you have to be more stubborn, and in a constructive way. When I say stubborn, the way that I mean it is such that if you think that standing up for yourself and not feeling the way somebody wants you to feel is stubborn, then this is for you. A lot of times people are trying to convince you that you're wrong, and they say, why are you being so stubborn about this? You're wrong. It's like, well, okay, I mean, if somebody's calling you stubborn and you feel that you're correct, that's your clue that you are correct and you're not stubborn. So, I mean, it really is that simple. That's how gaslighting works. So, when I say stubborn, I don't mean stubborn in a toxic, disordered manner. When you're wrong, clearly you're wrong. I mean, you don't argue the color of the sky. But where you are never wrong, and I'll give you this clue: you can never be wrong to stubbornly defend your feelings. So, if you live your life such that everything you do because you believe it is the right thing to do, you feel it is what's best for you, right? If you live your life doing what you feel is best, it makes gaslighting that much easier to combat. Because when people are trying to say, why are you being so stubborn, just say, look, that's what I felt was best, here's why, and that's why I did it. Now, if I was wrong, I was wrong, but don't tell me that I did it with bad intentions, because I didn't. It just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So there we go. So, you got to stick with that. And you can always argue the point with your feelings. You say, well, yeah, I did, because that's what I thought was the correct thing to do. That's what I felt was right. Always use that when somebody's trying to tell you that you're wrong for doing something that you feel is right. People naturally and inherently, rational people, naturally and inherently always do what they think the best option is, usually for themselves. And sometimes people think about others, like people think about what's good for the group, or people think about what's best for their friend or for their children or for, somebody worth attention, So when you're being gaslighted, when somebody's fighting and arguing, step number one, stubborn. Be stubborn. Now, how are you going to know that somebody's gaslighting versus actually just fighting? You'll notice the gaslighting. So whatever it is that somebody is manipulating on, it'll usually start off calm, and then the way that these conflicts usually go is it starts off nice and calm. Then stage two, whoever it is you're talking with gets even sweeter, very, very nice, very sweet, very caring, very empathetic, followed by a stark raving lunatic. And then they get angrier and angrier and angrier, and you'll notice that you tend to repeat yourself a lot. They keep saying new things. So it's like you keep finding yourself again. You say, so once again, I did that because that's what I thought, that's what I felt was best. And no, I don't agree. And then they'll come up with something else, and you repeat yourself again. So then they come up with something new, and you repeat yourself again. So then they come up with something new, and you repeat yourself again. And they get angrier, and then they start insulting you, and you repeat yourself again. And then they start insulting you even more, and you repeat yourself again. And then they start escalating and drawing attention to you, and you repeat yourself again. And then they start triangulating you and bringing other people into it, and you repeat yourself again. And then there's a whole crowd around wondering why the hell somebody's yelling at you, so you just repeat yourself again, right? Now that sounds insane, because it is. Okay? And you say, well, my God, of course they're getting frustrated. All I'm doing is repeating myself. Think of this. When we were kids, and somebody else started repeating everything you said, what did you do? It's like, stop copying me. Stop copying me. No, stop copying me. Stop copying me. You're copying me. You're copying me. What do? Both of you shut up. Right? Because that's what you do when people start just repeating themselves and repeating you. But that doesn't happen in the case of gaslighting. That doesn't happen when you're being manipulated. It doesn't happen because the desired result has not been met. Whereas when somebody's not trying to get something out of you, if it's just an exchange of ideas and an exchange of viewpoints and a conversation, it never gets past, well, I felt that's what was best at the time. And they say, oh, okay, cool. The end. Right? That's it. That's what happens in normal conversations. It's amazing. You can actually just disagree, and people are like, okay, I disagree, but that's cool. I can understand your viewpoint, and I understand where you're coming from. I'm coming from a different viewpoint, so I have a different opinion, and that's okay, because we come from different backgrounds and we're two different people. That's cool. Let's have a beer. So that's how it works. But then, when somebody says that you're wrong and you give your viewpoint, and so then they say, well, this is also why you're wrong, and you repeat yourself, and then they say it again and you repeat yourself, and then they say something new and you repeat yourself, and they say something new and you repeat yourself. Like that is so incredibly toxic. And you'll notice this, that they don't back down. Like they're unable to accept your individual viewpoint. And if you're being honest to them, here's the trap. Okay, here's the biggest trap of all of it, is because they wear you down to the point where you either concede or you just lie about how you feel. Well, then you lie about how you feel, and then that sets you up for not too far down the road. They're going to bring up how you lied about how you felt. Or they're going to say, why is this coming up again? I thought we had this behind us. No, we didn't have it behind us. I just told you some shit, so you'd shut the hell up. We were watching a movie. You know? You get... You know, that's the real danger there. So, don't... You have to think long term, okay? Do not be afraid of a conflict. Do not be afraid of a fight or an argument. Because, here's the thing. Number one, you just stay truthful, honest, live your life doing what you feel is best, and do not change what you feel is best. Do not change yourself to avoid an argument. Do not lie to end an argument either. Or a conflict, I should say. And lastly, don't get pissed off or upset, and don't take the emotional bait. Okay? Because the emotional bait is there to mask their manipulation. Because as always, when there's two people that are mad and yelling at each other, it looks like a conflict, it looks like a fight, it looks like people are disagreeing. When it's only one person yelling, one person screaming, and one person causing the scene, it looks like a crazy person harassing a normal person. That normal person needs to be you. Because the very second that you engage and you take that emotional bait and you let them trigger you, then you lose all chances of people seeing things as they are. And that is the number one camouflage in a conflict that a manipulator will use. Because the second you get mad back at them, no, people really just aren't interested in hearing two sides. They just want both of y'all to shut up. People really don't care how you feel. People really don't. When two people are making a scene and yelling and fighting, people generally do not care about who is right and who is wrong. People just care about both of you shutting the hell up. But when it's just one of you, and when people are around who really matter, and you stay calm, then that other person is exposed. And when people are like, yo, what's going on? What did you do? I told them how I feel. Seriously, they don't like what I did, but I explained myself to them. Like, just because, and I'll say this and then I'll end the video, okay? Just because somebody is mad at you does not mean you owe an apology. Do not be an apologizer. Do not be apologetic. You do not have to apologize for trying to do what is right. You do not have to apologize for being a good person. You do not have to apologize for putting yourself first sometimes. If you're on a plane crashing and you put on your oxygen mask first and then you help a bunch of passengers, I imagine as you're falling out of the sky, the first words out of your mouth aren't, I'm sorry I put on my oxygen mask before you, so here's yours now and I owe you an apology for making sure I can breathe while I do this. No, sometimes you gotta put yourself first. You don't owe anybody an apology ever. Even if you're wrong. And you've got to view it that way. You do not owe apologies. You get an apology as something you give because you want to. An apology is something you give because you love and care about somebody and you want to make things right. An apology is not something owed automatically just because somebody is mad at you. And the funny thing about people that love you, they don't necessarily expect an apology. They're just fine if you don't apologize. They know you. They love you. They know you meant well. It won't be much of a fight. I'm out of time. Thank you very much for listening. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.